Who?
The moment Blueface and Nevaeh revealed they're expecting a baby boy, timelines lit up like somebody dropped a surprise album at midnight. Congratulations were flying, memes were loading, and group chats were already dissecting the math. But let's be real, the announcement wasn't the main event, the real suspense. Karl is a dot because whenever something major happens in this family, the world doesn't just wait for the blogs, it waits for Karlissa Nevaeh to react. And when she finally breaks her silence, it never feels casual. It feels loaded, intentional. Like every word was weighed on a digital scale before being released into the wild. So when she finally spoke about Blueface expecting a baby boy with Nevaeh, the internet didn't just listen. It leaned in. Was it supportive? Was it subtle shade disguised as grace? Was it the calm before another reality show level storm? Because in this circle, nothing is ever just congratulations. Every tone shift feels strategic. Every pause feels like it means something. And when family drama mixes with public headlines, even a baby announcement can feel like a plot twist. The baby boy announcement should have been simple, joyful, straightforward. Blueface and Nevaeh confirming they're expecting. A son had fans celebrating instantly. Heart emojis flooded the comments. Supporters called it a blessing. Blogs rushed to post it's a boy. Headlines like it was breaking national news. But the celebration only lasted a few minutes before one question took over the timeline. What is Karlissa going to say? Because when it comes to family updates in this circle, Karlissa Nevaeh is never just background noise. She's commentary. She's reaction. She's often the headline after the headline. And the internet knows that. The silence before she spoke became louder than the announcement itself. Comment sections were filled with waiting on Karlissa. Reaction channels were already predicting tones and facial expressions before she even posted anything. It felt less like a baby reveal and more like a press conference waiting for the final statement. Then she broke her silence. And the timeline froze. Her words weren't explosive. There was no screaming rant, no dramatic meltdown, no viral clapback. Instead, her tone was measured, calm, almost diplomatic, the kind of response that sounds supportive on the surface but leaves enough space for interpretation underneath. That's when the internet shifted from celebration mode to investigation mode. Some fans immediately praised her maturity. They called it growth. They said she sounded composed, supportive, and ready to embrace a new grandson without adding fuel to any existing tensions, according to them. This was a grandmother choosing peace over performance, but critics weren't convinced that. Quickly. They dissected her delivery like it was a courtroom recording. Did you hear that pause? Her voice tightened at that sentence. That felt rehearsed. Apparently, tone analysis has become a professional sport online. Nothing is accepted at face value anymore. The reason this reaction hit so hard isn't random. The history between Karlissa Nevaeh and the women connected to her son has never been quiet. There have been public disagreements, emotional moments, live stream tension, and enough subtle shade to power a small solar system. The audience remembers everything. So when she responds calmly to a baby announcement involving Nevaeh, people don't just clap, they compare, they measure. They ask whether this energy matches previous reactions. Was this genuine acceptance? Or was it strategic restraint? That's where the divide truly began. Supporters argued that people are allowed to grow. They insisted that not every reaction needs to be dramatic to be real in their eyes. This was a woman who has seen chaos and is choosing stability. They framed it as evolution under pressure. Skeptics leaned back and said not so fast. They questioned whether the calm tone was simply an attempt to avoid backlash. After all, in today's social media environment, one wrong word can spark days of headlines. Maybe this wasn't transformation. Maybe it was calculated neutrality, and just like that, the focus shifted away from the baby boy and onto perception. Memes started appearing within hours. Some praised Karlissa's new era, others joked about diplomatic mode activated. The internet doesn't wait for clarity. It creates narrative while clarity is still forming. What made this moment even more intense was timing. The family has been surrounded by public drama for months, relationship chaos, online arguments, emotional clips that traveled faster than press releases. So when calm suddenly appears, it feels suspicious to some viewers. Because in viral culture, calm often feels like the quiet before something louder. Some fans genuinely felt hopeful. They imagined this baby boy becoming a turning point, a reason for unity, a reason for less public tension. They envisioned family healing, softer headlines, and fewer internet battles. Others predicted tension simmering beneath the surface. They argued that history doesn't disappear because of one measured statement. They saw this as a pause, not a resolution, and that anticipation is what kept the story trending. What's fascinating is that Karlissa didn't escalate after her initial reaction. No follow-up shade, no cryptic posts, no emotional live stream clarifying her tone, just silence. And that silence made people even more curious. Because when someone known for strong opinions suddenly responds with restraint, it disrupts expectations. The internet thrives on predictable drama. When the script changes, audiences question whether the rewrite is permanent. By the end of the first 48 hours, this wasn't just a baby announcement anymore. It became a referendum on change. Can long-standing family tension shift publicly? Or does history always resurface? The announcement of a baby boy should have been simple joy. But in this dynamic, nothing remains simple. Every word becomes layered, every tone becomes analyzed, every reaction becomes content. And right now, the timeline isn't celebrating quietly. It's watching closely, because when the calm feels unfamiliar, people don't relax. The second wave didn't explode, it simmered, then boiled over. Once Karlissa Nevaeh delivered her measured response to Blueface expecting a baby boy with Nevaeh, the internet stopped reacting emotionally and started reacting strategically. And that's when things get dangerous. Reaction channels multiplied overnight. Thumbnails with exaggerated shocked faces, bold captions screaming real or fake support, and dramatic eras pointing at Karlissa's expression flooded feeds. Commentary creators slowed down her clips, replayed pauses, zoomed into facial micro-expressions like they were studying a crime scene. Apparently, a breath between sentences now qualifies as evidence. Supporters doubled down harder than ever. They framed her reaction as maturity under pressure. This is growth. She's choosing peace. A grandmother protecting her grandson's future. Their tone shifted from defensive to triumphant in their eyes. This was a woman evolving publicly and doing it without theatrics. But critics, they pivoted. Instead of loud accusations, they leaned into sarcasm, diplomacy unlocked, PR training complete. That sounded scripted. The skepticism wasn't chaotic, it was calculated. They weren't shouting anymore. They were watching, and watching can be more intense than arguing. Memes entered their second stage. The first batch had jokes. The second batch had storylines. Edited clips labeled season plot twist, fake movie trailers titled The Calm Before the Storm. The internet doesn't just react, it produces entertainment out of reaction. This became less of a baby announcement and more of a scripted drama in the audience's imagination. Then came the celebrity-adjacent commentary, influencers, and gossip pages weighed in. Pretending to be neutral analysts, some praised Karlissa's composure, others questioned whether silence was strategic. The words rebrand, image shift, and damage control started floating around like we were in a corporate marketing meeting instead of a comment section. The parenting debate resurfaced. But deeper this time, it wasn't just about tone, it was about legacy. What environment will this baby grow up in? Will this family dynamic finally stabilize? Is this the beginning of unity or just temporary politeness? The internet loves forecasting futures like it's holding a crystal ball. What intensified everything was history. Audiences remember past reactions, past tensions, past public disagreements. They compared this calm response to previous explosive ones. Side-by-side mental comparisons happened in real time. The difference in energy didn't go unnoticed. Some viewers saw it as proof of reflection and growth. Others saw it as someone carefully avoiding public backlash. In today's social media climate, one misstep can spiral into trending disaster. Maybe restraint wasn't emotional maturity, maybe it was survival instinct. And here's the twist nobody talks about enough. Both interpretations can exist at the same time. The more divided the audience became, the more the story grew. Engagement numbers spiked, shares climbed, reaction videos pulled views. The algorithm rewarded the controversy. The irony is almost poetic. The more people debated whether the calm was genuine, the more relevant the moment became. Meanwhile, Blueface and Nevaeh continued their celebration posts, seemingly unfazed by the commentary storm. That contrast made things even more cinematic. Public joy on one side, public analysis on the other. The most fascinating element, Karlissa didn't add fuel, no cryptic quotes, no follow-up commentary, just stillness, and stillness in a family known for public reactions feels unnatural to some viewers. It's like expecting thunder and getting silence instead. Silence makes people uneasy. Speculation started evolving into prediction. Some claimed this was the start of a softer era in the family dynamic. Others insisted it was temporary, a ceasefire before another viral confrontation. The suspense became addictive because in online culture, anticipation is stronger than resolution. The narrative was no longer about whether she was supportive. It became about what happens next. Will this calm tone continue? Will future updates stay neutral? Or will old patterns resurface under pressure? The baby boy announcement had transformed into a symbolic checkpoint, not just for the family, but for public perception, right now. The internet isn't screaming, it's observing. And observation can last longer than outrage. What began as congratulations evolved into a cultural litmus test for change. And when the internet starts measuring change, every move becomes magnified. By the time the third wave rolled in, the volume had dropped, but the intensity had not. The screaming stopped, the memes slowed down, the hot takes turned into quiet evaluations. The internet had officially shifted from reaction mode to monitoring mode. And when the audience starts monitoring instead of mocking, that's when reputations either stabilize or shatter. The baby boy announcement was no longer the headline. The headline had become perception, specifically the perception of Karlissa, Saffold, and whether her calm response signaled a genuine shift in family dynamics or a temporary truce in a long-running saga. People weren't replaying her statement anymore. They were waiting for her next move. Because in viral culture, patterns matter more than moments, supporters began building a new narrative around her. They framed her reaction as wisdom, a grandmother, prioritizing stability over spectacle. They argued that maybe growth doesn't need to be loud. Maybe it looks like restraint. Maybe it sounds like diplomacy instead of drama. For them, this wasn't silence, it was maturity. Critics, however, remained skeptical. They weren't attacking anymore, they were predicting. Give it time. Let's see if this energy lasts. History repeats itself. Their doubt wasn't explosive, it was patient. And patience online can be more powerful than outrage because it lingers. What makes this moment fascinating is how it subtly reshaped public conversation around the entire dynamic. For months, discussions surrounding Blueface and his relationships lean heavily into chaos. Viral clips, emotional live streams, online tension that fueled endless commentary. That volatility became the default narrative. But now, a calmer reaction complicated that storyline. It introduced a competing possibility, stability, and when two narratives compete, audiences split into camps. Some root for peace, others anticipate relapse. Both sides stay engaged. Engagement is Oxygen. Brands notice engagement. Media pages notice engagement. Reaction channels thrive on engagement, whether positive or skeptical. Attention keeps the spotlight burning, and this moment, quiet as it seemed, kept that spotlight firmly locked in place. The deeper question simmering beneath the surface isn't just about one reaction. It's about whether public families are allowed to evolve. Can long-standing tension genuinely soften? Or does the internet trap people in the version of them that was most dramatic right now? Karlissa Saffold sits at the center of that debate. If future updates remain composed, critics will be forced to reconsider their assumptions. If another explosive clip surfaces, skeptics will claim they predicted it all along. The stakes are higher now because calm has been introduced as a possibility. And once you introduce the possibility of change, you create expectation. Expectation is heavy. Every future interaction between Karlissa, Blueface, and Nevaeh will now be viewed through this lens. Was this a genuine turning point? Or was it a carefully timed pause? The audience isn't shouting anymore, it's observing patterns. That kind of scrutiny doesn't fade quickly. Meanwhile, the baby boy announcement continues to circulate in celebration posts. Joy exists, excitement exists, but hovering above it all is analysis. And analysis tends to outlast celebration. What's almost poetic is how a simple statement shifted the emotional temperature without eliminating the tension. The fire didn't rage, it simmered. And simmering stories often last longer than explosive ones because they keep people checking for updates. The most powerful shift in this aftermath is subtle. Karlissa is no longer just reacting. She's being evaluated. Not for what she said alone, but for what her reaction suggests about the future. That transition from participant to symbol is significant. Public perception doesn't change overnight, it bends slowly. One calm moment won't erase years of drama. But it can complicate the narrative, and complicated narratives are harder to dismiss. Right now, the internet hasn't delivered a final verdict. It rarely does. It prefers suspense. It prefers watching arcs unfold in real time. And this feels like the beginning of a possible new chapter or the calm before the next viral storm. The truth. Both outcomes remain possible. That uncertainty is what keeps this story alive. The announcement of a baby boy should have been a joyful milestone. Instead, it became a cultural checkpoint. A test of growth, a measure of maturity, a spotlight on whether public dynamics can shift under pressure. And now the audience waits. Because when a family known for noise introduces calm, the next chapter matters more than the last headline. And just like that, a baby boy announcement turned into a full-scale internet evaluation. Only in today's culture can "it's boy" somehow translate into tone analysis, family dynamic breakdowns, and long-term prediction threads that read like Netflix scripts. So, now I need to hear from you. Was Karlissa's reaction genuine growth? Was it strategic calm? Or was it simply a grandmother choosing peace in a moment that didn't need more noise? Drop your real thoughts below, not the safe ones. The comment section is where the real storyline unfolds. If you made it this far, go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money. Subscribe like you just secured front row seats to the next headline. Because let's be honest, in this circle, silence today can turn into a viral storm tomorrow. And when it does, we're breaking it down word by word. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next plot twist. One post can change everything. One reaction can shift the narrative. And around here, we don't just report the drama, we dissect it, decode it, and call it exactly how it looks. Stay loud in those comments. Stay watching the patterns. Stay ready for the sequel. Because whether this was the start of a peaceful era or just the calm before another headline hits, you already know we'll be here. Welcome to the breakdown. Welcome to the spotlight. Welcome to Fame Flaws.